Let me introduce you to a little friend of mine. It's this guy right here. This is the DJI RS3 Mini. Now, I have been using the grandfather of this guy, which is the Ronin S, for a long time now. But maybe, is it time to retire old Granddaddy S? Well, let's find out. Build quality is quite solid. It's not the carbon fiber like the RS3 Pro, but it's more of a mix between a premium plastic and what seems to be a lightweight but fairly strong aluminium. They've even understood some of the main bash points that gimbals have and included this rubber bit on the corner here, which is kind of cool if you ask me. The new RS3 Mini is certainly mini by name and mini by price, but in no way is it mini by performance. You see, it's just so light. Comparing it to the other RS models that are available, it comes in at 795 grams, which is pretty insane. It'll carry all the major mirrorless camera bodies with a huge selection of lenses. As long as it weighs under 2 kilos, you'll be fine. And one of the beautiful parts about this is it's so small that it can fit into a backpack for travel, but it's also powerful enough for professional use as well. In terms of the battery, it is fixed, so there's no way you can swap it out, but it is rated for 12 hours, so there's probably not going to be a lot of swapping there anyway, but if you do need to charge it, you're only going to be able to plug it in and you're not going to be able to use it. As I've only had it for a short period of time, I haven't really tested out the 12-hour limit on it, but I think like most gimbals that are being released these days, I think you'll probably get close to 12 hours out of it. You see, the RS3 Mini does carry a whole bunch of the features over from the RS3 and the RS3 Pro. It has the locking switches, but unfortunately it does not carry the auto locking feature, which for me is a bit of a miss, but I also understand this because it is a smaller, more entry-level RS3 and there's got to be some compromise somewhere. But it also has the beautiful LCD screen, albeit a little bit smaller. This one is a 1.4 inch, whereas the RS3 Pro has the 1.8 inch. But I think it's really nice. It's easy to use. It's easy to navigate. It also has the ability to do the underslung mode by attaching peripherals and other items to it. But for me, one of the things that they've carried over is the Bluetooth shooting. And just like the Pro versions, the Bluetooth shooting is just such a nice feature to have. There's no more cables floating off it. There's no more searching for the shutter button. And even more so with vertical now, the shutter button's in an even more unnatural position. And so not having to search around for that and just pushing the one button on the back to start and stop is a huge blessing. If you haven't upgraded your gimbal for a few years, then this is basically a no-brainer. I'm looking at you. Me? What have I done? I mean, that thing in your hands is pretty ancient. I mean, it's like a dinosaur. I'm just saying, you might want to think about upgrading. But also if you're in need of a lighter, smaller, more travel-friendly option, then this gimbal might be for you. If you've already got one of the RS3 range, then I would probably say you need to skip this one. Unless you really want the simplicity of the vertical shooting or you just need a lighter gimbal. If you're looking to take your social media game to a whole new level, then this thing might be for you, which I'm also looking at you. What? I don't know, man. Might want to have a look at your feed and just update that.
What's wrong with my feed?
Of all of the camera tech type stuff that I've done, gimbals by far is the most of what I've covered. Most recently, it was the DJI OM series, and that gimbal really opened up the world of higher quality videos for social media. And since then, the thirst for vertical content has been greater than ever before. And I'd probably say about half of the professional work that I do now is for social media and vertical content, or at least a portion of vertical and landscape content together. For me, this is where the RS3 Mini really shines. It's able to shoot natively in both vertical and landscape without the need of extra bits and pieces like an L plate or a cage or brackets or anything like that. And if you're already shooting vertical with a gimbal, you already know how much weight this adds to a gimbal, as well as just the extra fiddling around that ain't nobody got time to do. And I think this is probably one of the first gimbals that really mixes the two worlds of professional media creation and social media content, which I also believe are two blurring areas now. I think we're seeing a lot of professional work and social media become one. Now, stepping away from just the bright lights of new gear, which we're always looking at different than new gear that can help us do what we do, Why would DJI create something like this? See, for me, prior to being a professional photographer and videographer, I used to work in marketing, in sales and marketing for brands like Red Bull and other big drinks companies. And I try to understand the strategy behind the brands and what they're thinking when they create products like this. Social media is the playground for attention. So naturally, you're going to find a lot more media being created for those vertical environments that suit mobile. But the media is generally shot on mobile phones. And while the quality is getting better, it's just not quite the same. And so offering a gimbal that can natively shoot in vertical is definitely a top level play by DJI. Okay, so if I slap on my Nostradamus hat for a second and I start looking into the future, I think we're only going to start seeing a lot more higher quality vertical videos being produced, because I think people want to start standing out from the crowd, and this is easily one way to do that. And while mobile phone technology is getting better, and I think we're going to see a rise in more of that type of content too, I think at least for the short term, people are going to be looking at producing more higher quality content to stand out from the crowd. But anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts. Is this a gimbal that's just another gimbal in the crowded space of a million other gimbals? Or is this something that maybe might suit what you do? Now on the gimbal, I've got my Sony a7S3 and I'm shooting this video on the Sony a7R5, which I'm going to be pairing up against the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And we're going to see how this thing goes. So if you want to see that, please subscribe here. If you want to see how I've set up my office and how I've created everything that happens in the magic of this space, then click on this video here. But other than that, it's time for you to go and get out of here. I'll see you over there.